Easy, how are we?
Shawnee, I'm actually very sober from after running a race. It's unusual.
Say that again to me, but slower. You were sober after running a race.
Yeah, well,
What's
usually, like we went to Barcelona, we were on the beer within an hour. We do the Dublin Marathon, we're on the beer within an hour. We do a half marathon. The pubs aren't even open. I just had to go home. I just had to go
full
home.
disclosure? I may have had a beer or two watching the mighty Villa there advance to semi-finals of the FA Cup. So if Eric does a lot of talking and we'll pretend that the internet connection is a bit bad on my end, if you hear a bit of slurring throughout this episode of the podcast, but like you said. Dublin Half Marathon Day was, well, as people listening, was yesterday, but for us, it was 4, 5, 6 hours ago.
Yeah, what a morning. What a day. When I was running around the place yesterday and getting my last bits done before I head back, I was looking at the weather. It was cold. I didn't want to be outside the car. I was like, this could be miserable.
Well,
But
you messaged me last night and you're like, Sean, did you have safety pins or a race belt? I'm like, Eric, I don't know where my number is because like, like Barcelona was such a high, and then we had a big event with work there last week. It was phenomenal. And then it was just like this was coming in the half marathon, not knowing where it's gonna go, the effort of going into town, the clock's going forward, and excuse and excuse and excuse. And then I couldn't find my race number, and then I didn't know where my belt was. Turns out my belt was in the truck, which is grand, except the truck is in the garage and they closed for the weekend. So it was no use to me. And then you said there was no safety pins with the number, so I was scrambling around and I was like, the way the weather was on Saturday, I was like, feck this event on Sunday. But the sun came out. You brought it home from Mozambique, and
it was good. No, I have to say it was very good. I have to say, like, if we're gonna talk through the event as a whole, I think a very successful event. Is there room to improve? Of course. But as a first half marathon, the first run, you don't know how it's gonna go as an organizer, but you hope everyone gets around safe. That's the most important thing. But I would say well organized with some learning points as with any race.
oh, when I first saw the
Absolutely
bag
brilliant.
drop, when I first saw the bag drop was, and I thought it was going to be like the Dublin Marathon where you had to go in through that side and go 15, 20 minutes walk to the start line, and myself and yourself didn't have a bag. I was like, oh, here we go. This is going to be worse than Dublin and the bottlenecks and all the rest. But me and you walked down and we were like straight on O'Connell Street. And for two of us, no issues.
I have to say, starting on O'Connell Street was amazing.
Mm,
That felt like a city marathon start. You know, like when
yeah.
we were in Barcelona, you're starting in pretty iconic places, you finish in pretty iconic places. And I think for me, starting on O'Connell Street was pretty cool. That was a very cool thing. Ample toilets. I was
Yeah.
amazed. So many toilets. And it's probably the first race I've gone to of things that was done right. Toilets at the start line. There wasn't any queues from what I could see when I walked up and got a toilet straight away. I was amazed. No, I have to say it was absolutely excellent in terms of that.
Well,
Other people may have had a different experience, but for me, amazing.
even Monroe was saying that what he saw was that people were like going to the toilet and trying to hop over barriers. Like, no, 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 we'll just walk down a little bit. We'll move this barrier here. You get in here, and you get in here. I just seem to move a lot more swimmingly than the Dublin Marathon, where you're looking for a quiet wall.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just no, I have to say, and even the security team at the start, because the corral was tight. It is tight. It was one
Very
side
tight.
of the street, but people were kind of stacked on the side, and the security were like, "Don't worry, when the race starts, we're gonna open these barriers and we'll funnel you in. You're all part of this wave. You won't miss your way." You know,
Mm,
that's common sense and excellent crowd control, and just calmed everyone down. Because usually it's a rush. If I don't make my wave, that's like, and it was
yeah.
just very well won. If we're gonna go blah blah blah, it was tight. The first couple of K was tight,
Mm.
particularly when you're trying to just get into your stride. It was a slow kind of first K, and I think probably most people felt that. And throughout the course, there was areas where it tightened down, but we'll get onto it. But in terms of, for me, the toilets element, that's a big, like, I came out of that toilet like anything else can happen today, like, because it's
You came
always
out of new man, you did.
I came out of it because it's always a concern, and for some people,
Yeah.
it's a big worry. It can make or break their day. If you have to stop at 5K, it's not good. But to be able to have that choice for me is a fantastic start to a day. And then it's anything after this can happen. Let's just go and enjoy it. But it's from the start, and even the way the roads were. I was expecting a lot worse getting in there and parking and stuff. And we parked around Phoenix Park, or we actually got dropped at the bottom
Yeah.
of O'Connell Street pretty much. It was amazing because up until that was at I think 7:50, and we were at the start line. I was like, this is amazing. To get within 500 meters dropped off and just be able to walk down. I have to say, maybe other people had a different experience as well. Maybe we pushed our luck a little bit, but
Well, I'm not too sure. We're supposed to be dropped off the bottle of Con Street, so we won't say we
we'll
won't
say
say
no,
your brother drove us in, so we don't
say
get him
nothing.
rattled
Registration
out.
151. But no, absolutely brilliant, and a bit of fun on the start line as well. There was a bit of fun. It was cold, and the thing about the tight corral, it was warm in there. Me and you was
Mm.
nestled into the middle. It was like, oh, this is nice. This is nice. But it was a good start and a good buzz. But I
It felt
suppose
like a big event. It
it did.
felt like you were a
Yeah.
part of something big, which was really
Yeah.
cool. The music and all the way it was set up and going down O'Connell Street, when you see that kind of atmosphere there, it felt like you were a part of okay, this is something big. And as soon as I walked onto O'Connell Street, I'm like, oh, like because leading up to it, like we said at the start of the podcast, all these different event stuff going on a come down and stuff. I was like, I'm not too really bothered with Dublin half. We paid, we may as well turn up. But when we got to O'Connell Street, it was like, oh,
We're here.
we're
Yeah.
here, right? It's
Yeah.
it's
This is
game
it.
on.
Yeah, no, really, really good. And the crowd, the balloons, everything is normal, they're well organized. You could see the
Mm.
pacers, you could see everything. And a nice, smooth start. It was not surprisingly slow. We kind of were like, oh, gun's gone, everyone's gonna run. Oh, no, we just actually relaxed all the way to the line. And then we set off. But yeah, the first couple of K, tight. It was tight. People having to get up on footpaths to get around and jostling for position and stuff. And I suppose it's not really, I would find it hard to see because once you came around the first corner, the road did actually open up.
It did,
So
yeah.
I actually don't know what the organizers could do. If, I really don't know. Inserting another wave and maybe just putting 10-minute intervals or something. I don't know. But
You couldn't use both sides of O'Connell Street because if you use both sides of
oh,
O'Connell
you
Street,
cut people off.
everyone's
Yeah.
going to go to the right and then you're
Yeah.
cutting people off going through. That would have
Yeah.
been a logistical nightmare because when you did turn the corner, they had it tight and then the barrier kind of opened it out so you used the main road. And in fairness to them, like, there's only so many, I suppose there was notices enough to get the cars and stuff out of the way, but they were parked outside people's houses. They
Yeah.
had the cones and stuff in front, so it was a bit of avoiding cars. And I do remember I was on a path for a stretch of a good kilometer. I'm like, can't believe I paid all this money just to run the path I could do any day of the fucking week, but here we are. There
Hey,
was,
but look, to be fair,
yeah,
the organizers can only control that so much. So
exactly.
in terms of that, I never felt unsafe. It just
No.
felt tight. That's all. So no, to be fair, it was a very good start. And as we came around by Crow Park, running by Crow Park was different, I suppose, when you think of it. When we come through the Phoenix Park, most people run that on their training days. So nothing new there, And then as you go out to the other side, it's just housing estates. Whereas for me, as a boy going to Crow Park, you're usually in crowds walking to watch the Dubs or Mead or Kerry or whoever you're going to watch. But to be running in such a crowd like that around it was pretty cool. And then it felt like you were getting into the nitty gritty of the communities then, and it was really cool. We climbed out on the Swords Road. I think that was a tasty 2 or 3 K rise, wasn't it?
It was a bit of a climb from the get-go, if I'm honest with you. But we had a comment there. I'll go through the comments later on. It was nice in a way because the first 6K was like, you better pace yourself, otherwise you're screwed. Like it made you pace yourself going up that first 7K. Otherwise, you're going to drain yourself and you're in for a long, long race.
Yeah, well, I ended up talking to a listener. Vinny, this one goes out for you. You dragged me along in a 4:55 past Crow Park. And we were chatting for about 2K. And I was like, right, Vinny, respectfully,
Good
man.
luck.
See you later. So, fair play to
Let him
Vinny.
off.
He did Barcelona, but he didn't come on our trip. So we're friends, but we're not friends. A good listener to the podcast. But honestly, because of that, gave me the confidence. As you say, we met that hill, and I was like, at the 4:55, I felt comfortable. If I go at the 5:15, 5:20, 5:30 up the hill, let's see what we can do, So it was for me one of the quicker runs I've done, but thankful for someone to kind of drag me along and give me that confidence. Even after all these marathons, it was just when you haven't done it in a while, it's like someone you just chat, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I've settled now, so now let's just lock it in and see how far we can go.
talking to someone in the race is very similar to coming into an area where there's a lot of crowds and DJs and stuff playing. It just gives you that extra little boost, and all of a sudden you're 10, 15 seconds above race pace, and you don't even think about it. You're just feeling good going through it. So yeah, that happened to me a few times the course as well. It just takes your mind off things for a few minutes. It just goes to show how much of a mental battle the longer races can be.
Yeah, and the pressure of wearing this t-shirt. You can't be seen walking in this t-shirt.
That did a few times because I planned for this to be, and we've had so many great guests on the podcast talk about A races and B races, and I was like, you know what, this is a B race for me after Barcelona, and I'm not 100% healthy, and of course, not gonna be anyone's not gonna be 100% healthy after doing a marathon. So I was like, right, let's just pull back. If I get a 1:45, get a 1:45, and then. I should have known better. I'm an idiot. The crowds just took over, and then like I started to get a little bit faster. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually a really nice day compared to what I gotta be. And there's a bit of a breeze, but the sun's out. And in fairness, there was for the inaugural half marathon, and I know there's a lot of marketing advertising on it, but we see that because that's our circles and social media and stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the area that didn't see that and they woke up on Sunday morning and went, what the hell is going on outside? Especially the clocks going forward. I thought there was a great turnout for this, and there was times where I almost got lost in my own head thinking I was running the Dublin Marathon. And the fact there was a lot more, there was times where I felt there was more city based, if that makes sense. I just
Yeah,
felt more community based, maybe a better term in that one, where
yeah,
I felt
community
like I
based. Yeah,
was involved in something and people were there out cheering you on. There was definitely different parts throughout the course. I was like, it was real Dublin. You're hearing proper Dublin slang and stuff during the race, and I
yeah.
thought it was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Some of the signs as well,
Yeah,
running around. It was like definitely North Dublin humor on this one. Like
yeah.
some of them I cannot repeat,
No.
for fear of being cancelled. But some of them were excellent. Like I seen one, it was like chafing your dreams and stuff. Keep going.
Mm.
Um, run like you're about to be clamped was another one. And,
Didn't
like
see
it was
that one.
just, I was just good humor all the way. Oh, stamina's sexy. Call me.
No, I saw that one.
But it was
Oh.
no, it was good fun all the way around, and just a good atmosphere as you came through the smaller communities. And for us, it's the first time we've gone on a run around Dublin and not knowing where we're going,
Mm.
with a rough idea, of course. But you turn a corner and go, I have no idea what's next, or no idea what hill is next. So absolutely fabulous, and the support in pockets was really good. And we met some of the guys who came in Barcelona. Fran was out there cheering us on, and as always, it's just nice to get that little lift. And there's one or two others, and then some of them they all recognize you. They don't know me, and they just go podcast. And I'm like, yeah,
What's me, podcast?
yeah,
Did you notice though? I don't think I've ever seen this as much in a race. Maybe because of newer roads and communities. There are like people along the paths and stuff cheering you on, but there was like gaps behind them from corners, and like there was a couple of barriers there, but not that many compared to what you see in Dublin. The amount of people that were like cutting every which corner, and I ended up finding myself lost the crowd, cutting one or two, and me like. Oh man, my Strava mightn't even say 21.1 at the end of this race if we're going by race to the road. Like I'm like, this is gonna be close. But there was a good few times. At one stage, I remember just breaking me heart laughing. I just like this person clearly went off course just to cut a corner. I start laughing and people beside me like, yeah, any which way to get the finish line. I was like, I suppose so.
yeah, they were just short of jumping garden fences. No, it was like
Really
it was.
were.
Some of them was like, wow.
If these people were in Barcelona, that long straight going up 2K to come back, they definitely would have just cut across and like, I'm getting there quicker. Feck
Yeah,
this.
but to be fair, I didn't cut. Mine said 21.22. So
Yeah.
they probably did get the 21.1 by cutting the corner. So in fairness, it's where you can make up the small percentages, make them up. But it's very like it was just so good when you came out that other side. First water station was short. I think when the crowd is that big, I think if I was giving them feedback, you need to spread that out over a couple of 100 meters or so because the crowd is so dense. There was a girl beside me, God love her. Like I'm beside, there was a couple, one or two guys, 6 foot plus, big guys. And I just looked and said, I'm so sorry, you're not gonna get across there.
Yeah.
I tried to grab a water for her, but I thought there'd be a table coming and it just didn't come. And I said, I'm really sorry.
The
Um,
odd push in the back of stuff I got now near a couple of
yeah.
stations. I'm like, he's
So
up there, pal.
it's just one that I suppose in the early stages, a feedback is to spread that one out over a 200-meter kind of distance just to give people a chance because it is tight. You're running in the bus lane or whatever it is on that road, and it was just a little bit tight, but excellent though, all the same.
Minor, but those cups are annoying as
Oh, the
hell.
plastic.
I don't know if they're recyclable, but they are
I don't
because you
know.
can't even like squeeze them really to because they kind of
Yeah,
bend and almost kind of snap and they're on the ground. You're half kicking off them, you're half like any which way. In
yeah,
fairness, they had people there trying to sweep through as much as they can. I'd be interested to hear from people who were on the later waves on how they found that. And maybe there was enough of a gap in between waves that people go in kind of sweep the cups as much as they can. But like, we're in a day and age now where it's just never going to be bottles again.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Like it's just that's gone now. But
The only
if
thing is, if you had the bottle, there'd be 40 people pushing you over just to get them into a black bag. 15
yep,
seconds to go.
winner chicken dinner.
I tell you what, you wouldn't be long cleaning up.
No, you
Um,
wouldn't.
so it was interesting, but again, like we seen paper in Barcelona mushed in, you're kind of like, is that being recycled? Then you seen the plastics being stamped on, and you're like, is that being recycled? So I don't know. I don't know if you can be this carbon neutral type marathon. I just don't know. I don't know what the best solution is. And I think, geez, maybe we'll do a little group think with a load of the podcast. If we come up with the solution for this problem, we'll be
Any given
gazillionaires.
Runday hydration bags. That's the only
Hydration
way.
bags, bring it with you. But yeah, no, it was really, really good. And I don't know, do you know what? Like sometimes you were climbing up hills, but then you got the bit of confidence because you reached the top and it's not just flat. You reach the top and all of a sudden it's, oh, we're going down. So you kind of just forget about what you've done, like it was good.
Was there any real true hill? Like coming out Swords Road, okay,
Yeah,
good.
that
A
was a
bit of
climb.
a
That was
climb. It
about
was a
2.5K, maybe 3K
but it was a
of a climb.
steady climb. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It wasn't what definitely wasn't Heartbreak Hill
No.
or it wasn't coming out of Chapel Lizard Hill. There was
It was
nothing.
more climbing into Crumlin or that kind of thing, or climbing into Castleknock. It wasn't noticeable, but you were still
Mm.
doing it. But it was, yeah, I think about 2.5 kilometers. I don't know. The maths was there. I just turned the corner and then I was like, oh, that felt like about a 2K climb. So yeah, but there was no real. There was a few risers, I would call them, that you were kind of like 30 seconds of just shorten your stride and quicken the step. And but you could see everyone like mashing up. I was like, oh, will you steady on, will you? Like you're gonna suffer now for a little while, but yeah, it was nothing scary.
No.
Nothing to make you go, oh no, my day is over. But enough of them, like little ones, maybe four, particularly in the latter part of the race, that you were kind of like, oh, you sneaky mom. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like, and the crowds are there, and you're like, oh. But one or two, you see one or two breaking, and you're like, oh, not in front of the crowd. Get up
Yeah.
the hill, will you? Come on.
You gotta make
So
it up.
it was good. It was really, really good. And even, there was a bit of peace, bit of quiet in some parts as you were coming through St. Anne's Park. It was nice and quiet, and you came down the hill just before you hit the coast road at 13K. And it was just nice, you could see the greenery, you could see the parks, and you could see the coast then coming into view and a nice hill down to kind of set you up for a long straight.
Quiet, but in terms of, I don't know about you, people on the course, it never got quiet. Do you know what I mean? It never really, for me, it never, like, it spread out a small bit, but not like, not huge amount. Like, obviously, more so in the first 3K. And it's not a complaint. I always felt like I was surrounded with a lot of people. In fairness, over 12,000 people, I think, did this event. Like, so through 3 waves, so you're not really going to have that separation you would at other half
Yeah,
marathons throughout the country.
like it wasn't like it wasn't like some of the marathon crowd. If you were going there
Mm.
expecting the same type of crowds, but not only that, given the route, it was impossible to be at the start and 10K.
No,
So we're
I
moving,
mean on the course.
yeah,
I
on the
mean
course.
runners.
Yeah, it was pockets. Like it was most, I suppose, town centers, but you were hitting a new kind of pocket. Like the coast was quiet, like that was 6, 7K of quietness until you
No,
started to come
no,
in.
no. I mean like people running on the
Oh,
course.
sorry. I thought
Sorry,
you meant the
people.
crowds on the
No.
side.
I mean people
No, no, no.
running
You're
on the
always
course.
surrounded.
You're
Yeah.
always surrounded with a lot of people, and it was tight enough at stages.
I was, and at one point, one girl was on the phone for about 3K. So I thought there was two people talking, but I'd hear her just, someone just going, yeah, 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 I'm actually just here. And then no response. And then I was like, am I losing it? Am I about to clap? I turned around. She was on, just chatting to her friends at about 13K. I better go. There's a hill coming.
I don't
I
know if
was
that's a
like,
trend or what's going on because like that happened to me in Barcelona marathon as well. Someone at 10, 11K, a girl just flew past me and she was talking away. I'm like, she talking to me? And I realized one, it's Spanish, Sean, you idiot. Or that it wasn't English. And two, I saw the AirPods in her ear and just away she went. And I'm like, is that cheating like music or what's going on here?
I
Surely it's hard to
actually,
expend energy to talk.
this might be a bit different. And if people are listening to this, stop wearing headphones or at least wear open ones
Mm.
so I can have the crack with you. Just purely selfish. But there's
Pure.
people I was like, God, keep going, you're all right. And they just don't hear me. They just keep looking and ignoring me. I was like, oh, okay. Like, and I've noticed it more with this than I did with the marathon. I noticed it more with the half than I did with the full. There was a lot of headphones. People with the full Beats type headphones. I
Mm.
was like, wow, I'm never going to talk to you. And sometimes you need just a joke, or when you hear someone like some of the stuff I heard shouted from the sidelines today
Yeah.
was absolutely
Go.
comical. Can't be repeated, but absolutely hilarious. And I was the only one laughing. And I was like, okay. And I looked around. 70% of the people around me had headphones on. I was like,
You're
there's some nuggets missed here. And except one time there was a gang of lads and we all laughed together. And I was like, yes, it's not just me. So it was there's just that little elements of the buzz and the fun, the excitement. But I also understand that this is probably some people's first half marathon. Nerves kick in and they're like, I'll bring the music to keep me going and stuff. But I think you miss out on a little bit of atmosphere and a little bit of just being in your head as well. You versus you. Well, look, different strokes for different folks. It's not my thing. Never will be my thing because I just love the fun, the science, the kids screaming, the high five. That's fun. And that's what you want to take in, and that's what you want to hear.
It's race atmosphere. You're paying for race atmosphere. You're paying to run the streets and stuff you cannot get in training, and you're taking that away by your senses are not as strong as they are with the headphones off. Like I really don't get it. I know I do understand that because you always run with your headphones in training. You're like, okay, what if I can't do it in race day? Because I need music, I need this stuff. But like they had a lot of different DJ settings, of course. You're seeing the crowds, you're talking to people the odd time. And look, there's people who are talking to me a good bit on the course with Barcelona stuff. And it comes a time where they just happen to sneak in front. Like I know if I keep talking, I'm gonna struggle in terms of keeping pace, and I just have to pull back and I feel a bit, or like you said, right, I'm off the hour, you're
Yeah.
off. I see you at the finish
Vinny,
line.
get out of here, Vinny.
Yeah. And that happens, but it's all part of the atmosphere to soak it all in. And I really do think that if you use headphones, you're taking yourself away from that. You're losing that race day feel and that extra atmosphere. Like we talked at the very start there, going up O'Connell Street. If you have headphones on, obviously you wouldn't have started the race, but if you did, walking up that, you got headphones blaring, your beats and stuff, and noise cancellation, it's like shit, you're missing out, and it's just any other
Yeah.
run for you, kind of way.
Yeah.
I just really don't get it. And besides, if a bus comes at you, you want to be getting heads
Well,
up
there
on
was one.
it.
There was one lad I saved his head from the wing mirror of a bus because there was points where there was a traffic moving with you type thing, but the cones were just wide enough for the bus. But that doesn't take into the account the foot. The wing mirror comes out. It's like, watch your head. For those vertically unchallenged like myself and your man, it was a real danger, a very real danger. But yeah, look, it was excellent. And the coast road, I think the coast road kind of gave people a taste of what it is like to just not know because you could see Ringsend, you could see
Mm.
2 kilometers in the distance, and you just had to run. Again, I watched the balloons at this now, they're a good bit ahead of me, but I was
The
so
140 won't get cut and fly up in the air. That one,
no, I didn't see that one. The 150s, they were a bit ahead of me.
yeah.
But man, I was glad I was a bit behind them. It was tight. I just think next year again, excellent. It wasn't wild. It wasn't. I'm not saying it. I'm just a single car did not pass me on our side of the road going down to that corner for the 6 kilometers or the 7 kilometers along the coast. Just close the road and just give the space because it's only a half and it was tight. People hugging onto them balloons and they were running on the grass. They were jumping over the walls onto the path and jumping back in when the crowd came. And I'm just like, just go with the road, just
Mm.
for the 2 hours, just if you can. Maybe there was something the organizers couldn't do, but I think that would have really helped people because some people come into their own in that last 6K and some people fall away. And when you
It was
put
a
that
make or
onto
break.
a tight path, it was difficult. And
Mm.
unfortunately, there was some elbows out from some people at some time. One guy he pushed me, then I kicked the shit. No, I didn't. But it was, I have the experience. Go, it's okay. Yeah, no worries. Sorry,
Happens.
my bad. Whatever. Yeah, and then kick the head off. No, but it's for others. It was a little bit daunting because people were slowing, people were walking, and it was yeah. So that was, but again, enjoyable to run the coast. And then you came around, and it was like, I think the wind was on our back on the way out. I think the wind was on. Oh yeah, there's the wind in your face for the last 3K.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really broke some people. And
Mm.
maybe you didn't see it up your end, but down my end, it was like, uh-oh. And you
That's
just seen them starting to really suffer. It was like, I'm holding on, I'm holding on. Oh no, there goes it. So
that last stretch in the coast. I started to notice more people just kind of go into the grass a little bit further. I saw one lad in the distance being like, I'm out of this race, and I want you to know I'm out of this race. But he was clutching his hamstring like further on there by the coast. And I was like, that was the last couple of K, people started to fall off a bit. Not huge from what I saw. They were heard more so afterwards. There were just people starting to fall off as you're getting that last 4 or 5K, and people were like, right, that's when you either push on or you're hanging on for dear life.
and that look, it's okay. You've raced,
That
and
happens.
we always say half marathon's a place to go for it because even if you blow up, you're only a couple of K from the finish. You might be a little
Yeah.
bit embarrassed about crawling your way there, but listen, it's part of it. You have to do them things. You have to learn and reach your limits and push. Um, unlike me today, I had a great time again, but it's, that's where I'm saying if that road is open because in the start, it's great because you're moving as a wave. You're
Mm,
with people. Some will go past you, like, and they did for the first 5K. They probably were a little bit further back on the street than me. But then all of a sudden, you're running with your mates. We're all locked in at the same pace
mm,
until that point. People are going backwards. Some are trying to push on, and it was just tight. That
yeah.
would be my only criticism. It didn't take away from my enjoyment of the scenery and running along the coast and the people along the coastline. It was
Mm,
absolutely fantastic. Don't get me wrong, and really like such a change. And the only other place I felt something like that was in Cork. They bring on this run around the path, and you're just looking at the water, and you're kind of you're in the city, but you're not in the city. And the Cork Marathon did that really, really well, and that was the closest I felt to that. I just think there was a substantial amount of runners, and in that transitional phase of the race, I just think if they just put it on the road and let people find their own level, and they can use that path if they're starting to come out of the race. They can go to the side and not really interfere. But yeah, it was really, really enjoyable. And I have to say, I loved the last 3K. I thought it was cool because the streets closed in again.
yeah.
But this is where, if you come off that road, people will find their own level. And in the last 2K, it's already decided. People are
Yeah.
where they are, and you bring each other along, and the crowd closes in, and the streets get a little
Great
bit
crowd.
narrow. And I was like, oh yeah, this is fantastic.
The very start of it though was the FM 104 truck, and I was getting closer. I was like, Kildare Village Outlet. I'm like, oh, here, play a song. And
Ah, I
then
was giving the ads.
I got worse though. Then I was like, and the 10 o'clock news, the Dublin City Half Marathon, we have a winner. First person's cross at 64 minutes. I'm like, for fuck's sake, I didn't win.
Why
But
did you rub it in?
I just roared out. I was like, oh, that's great motivation here in the news, lads, isn't it? It's just like,
Uh,
I
it's
was like, for feck's
I was
sake.
good. No, I have to say there was good fun along that.
Yeah.
I have to give a shout out. I don't know who the little girls were in Raheny. A peach ring that saved my life. They were out. They had platters of jellies, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I had a banana in my pocket, but I just seen these, and I was like, no, that's something I haven't had since I'm home. And they had the apple ones, they had the peach ones. It was like a jelly buffet. I have to say, fair play. Magic threw two of them into my mouth, and I was like, oh, big mistake. Couldn't chew them. But a big shout out to them. And many others had their own mini water stations outside their houses as we went through Artane and Raheny. Well done to you. That's what makes Irish races so good. So a
You
big
don't.
shout out, and I have to encourage that. Like, yeah, brilliant and a big support. And yeah, it means a lot when you go around see people doing that kind of thing, it makes it just that little bit more. Even if you don't take it, and it's like, "Do you know what? Fair play. Thanks very much."
Yeah, I really love Dublin crowds for that Dublin Marathon as well. That's what I say compared to Barcelona. Obviously Barcelona was great. I even said in the
And
Barcelona
Cork
review show,
crowds, that
Well,
hot
I didn't
weather,
run
they were
Cork.
bringing their garden
They were
hoses
pretty
out to spray
garden
me. Yeah.
hoses, yeah, absolutely. I haven't ran in Cork, so I can't attest to that. But we'll say it's real good because I know Cork people from Cork are listening. But that atmosphere and stuff, and the jellies and different things, and hearing the banter, and I just one when we put the collage of videos up. I think it's Monroe taking the video, Crow Park or something like, "Get off your bleeding phone, yeah."
And I think he knew him as well. That made it even better.
Yeah.
But I have to say, a big shout out to Monroe. He always shows
Yeah.
up in the Any Given Runday t-shirt. And it's great because everyone knows you. No one knows me. So Monroe's like my stunt double that actually runs fast. Because
Your
everyone's like,
athletic stunt double.
is that? And he's just, wow, he's too fast. They don't know if it was me or not. And then if they hang around long enough, they'll see me just plodding along in the back. But it's no fair play to Monroe. He had a great run again today, and always in good form, and really embodies what it is to just enjoy getting out and running and having a good time. But well done to him. Another great run for him.
I just was doing shout outs there. Shout out to Teresa Reddington as well, who was on our trip to Barcelona. She flew through it and she talked about one of the comments on, I think it was on our Facebook post. She talked about how the first 6K kind of made you slow down a bit to appreciate the rest of it, and had a great day out. And it was great talking to a lot of people. But right before we start talking about people and shout outs and all the rest, we got to talk about that finish.
Oh, the finish was good as you turn the corner and you seen the big bunting. That was probably the longest finish straight. Not
Because
that it
the
was the
blue,
longest finish straight, but the blue carpet, the buzz, I have to say was impressive. Now, I know Dublin is a long, it's 2 kilometers, but it felt like a finish shoot for 600 meters.
the car,
It,
it was at least four. If not, it could be
yeah,
right close to six because
yeah,
that
six,
carpet was
because I seen the
there
400-meter
half side
sign as you
straight.
came
Yeah.
under the bridge, and I seen one. There was one guy decided to give up with 300 meters to go, and I watched his friend abuse him. Abuse him to no end. Like he had come so close in the 300 and he let him know 300 meters. What are you doing? But it was now it was a few more choice words, but it was just, the crowds at that finish line was really,
Yeah.
really good and very enjoyable.
Cool setup.
And to be honest, it was just like for such a short race, and that's something that we kind of forget about a half marathon. Like we're 2 hours later and we're all on the way to the coffee shop with our bags, like
Yeah.
it's and that's the bit I loved about it, and to get that opportunity to run in the city with so many people, and it's doable. And if people are listening to this going, oh no, well, they're probably all runners. If you're new to this and thinking about getting into running, a half marathon is an achievable goal.
Yep.
It is something you can work on, and a marathon like that, when you're surrounded by people, will drag you along because there's so many people. And it's absolutely excellent. No, I have to say it was very, very good. Very, very enjoyable.
It's a great finish line, great buzz leading up to it. I heard one person thinking the big balloon bunting thing, they thought that was a finish. Like,
Oh
oh, fuck. And they
no.
looked ahead, saw 400 meters to go. But then under the bridge, it got a little bit narrower. You had all the barricades and stuff, more people screaming and stuff. Even the view of seeing that in the distance, the big church, I have no idea what church it is beside it. And look, it helped that it was a great day. I mean, doing that run and the coast part of it, it was a shitty day like
If
it
it was a
was
windy, rainy
Saturday.
day, you'd be saying it was the worst half marathon ever.
We could be having a complete different conversation, and it's annoying that the weather can have that much of an impact on it. But the guys will have at Dublin City Half, they'll have great fun with those pictures and reels and stuff to settle on
Ah,
next year because it
yeah.
was absolutely perfect. But crossing that finish line, we'll get into the Eric Lawless portion of whether a race is a good race. Part one, the medal, and then part two, the goodie bag. What did you think, sir?
So the medal is good. It's a heavy medal.
It's not
It's good.
wooden.
It's not. It's not wooden. It was a good medal. It was nice. It was simple. It was good, but it was heavy, and I felt like a champion. So I have to say, no, it was good. It was a good medal, and it was well organized with the shoots and the finish. And we didn't bag drop, but coming out there with your medal and then straight over, they were giving out your t-shirt sizes pretty good, and then straight
Yeah.
into bag drop. I have to say, goodie bag was very good. Straight away into the Lindt chocolate. Fair play to Lindt. But it was I ate all them probably within 30 seconds, and still had the banana in my pocket. And yeah, no, it was no excellent. New flavor of Lucozade, by the way. Lucozade, you really sprung that on me at 18k.
I saw
Uh,
the L Blue stuff. I was
the
like,
old
what's
blue stuff.
this?
I was like, what's going on here,
Yeah.
Luke? This isn't Lucozade. Is it safe? So yeah, and now they have to give us €1 million for advertising them on the podcast. But no, it was the goodie bag felt heavy. It's good to
Mm,
get a handy one. Now I went through it. There was noodles, flax seeds, cookies, all the goodies, and
energy drinks.
and it wasn't post marathon, so I didn't feel like I'd eaten 2 ton of sugar, and I was actually like, oh yeah, thank you again. So yeah, no, it was very good. And then, do you know what? There was like, do you know when you finish Dublin and it's kind of like get out,
Mm.
the marathon, and rightly so. There's so many people keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. But with this one, there kind of became this little tranquil spot where you weren't with the spectators, but you were with the athletes around the Lewis stops just after bag drop, and we were all just chilling out having a talk. The little like mass post mortem, and that's where we met a lot of people. Well, they seen us too, and it was actually I really enjoyed that 20 minutes just having a chat with people.
Is it a lot more though? Because we talked about this afterwards. So let's say most of the 12,000 people did turn up because of the half marathon. When it comes to Dublin, out of 20,000, 16, 17,000, so an extra 5,000 plus the waves and stuff like that, where the wavelengths in Dublin could be up to an hour and a half longer. And because it's a marathon, the times, like people in later waves
Yeah,
were
so
finished in
varied.
5 hours to three
Yeah,
hours, which is really 6, 7 hours. That was a much better finishing area, I even think, for the marathon than it was than the Dublin Marathon was back in October. I think that like because like the way it spreads out there as well. I'm lost with names down that part of Dublin. I've
it's
no
just
idea
about
what
the
the
IFSC and then around
yeah,
that as well.
convention
Yeah,
center
yeah.
and all the rest there. Like I said, the way it's spread out now, they got you further on. Now, the security like, oh, well done, blah, blah, and they eased you on down further to get your medal. Next thing you turn the corner and get your bags and stuff. Get your goodie bag and a little bit further to get your main bag. But it was such a big square where you got the bag that there was no mad queues and nothing for it. And then you were out of the race. There was no getting further to get to a barricade to get out to see people. You could concentrate there for a little bit and be
Yeah.
in that big square, not take over. And I thought it was just so well done and well laid out that area. And like I said, the weather helped, but it was just very nice and just chilling, talking to a good few people going by, talking to us. Too many people to name, but it was
I think
just
I think Will and Dave, if I've got any of them wrong, big shout out to you lads for coming up to us as well. A few more, I didn't get your name, I'm sorry. But and if I got them names wrong, I'm also sorry. But if you anyone recognizes them names, please let me know. Uh,
27 wheels are like, yep, that was me.
yeah, that was me. But no, fair play. And then we met good old Jer. Jer Coughlan was out for a
Yeah.
good old day out as well.
Yeah, he beat us again by a good bit. He got a 125 or something like that. He
I
cruised
think it could have
around.
been 120, 121, did he
Or
say? Or
maybe
the guy
121.
he was running with did a 121, I think. I think that's what he said.
Hmm.
But with good crack, and we got hounded, one would say, for the next guests of the podcast. We got cornered. There's a few people that are trying to force their way on, so who knows who could be on the next guest coming up, and we'll see. But we had good fun, and it was great, and we are grateful. It's kind of still a little bit for me embarrassing and surreal when people are like, "Oh, I listen every week." We're two
Hmm.
guys with a laptop and two mics. It's so bizarre, but it's nice to see, and we're seeing more and more people recognizing us and listening, and a huge thank you. And we
Yeah.
genuinely love, and we try and give everyone time. If you do come up and say hello, we'll do our best to have a chat. And that's the beauty about me running a bit slower. Sean, I can talk. So I know it's absolutely fantastic, and we appreciate the support. And
Yes,
like
class.
that, it's another event in Ireland, and it's another event. Every event is going to need feedback, and this is number one. It's great to see what it does for communities. It's great to see all the run clubs. Lusk, I've seen a lot of. I've seen the Garda Athletics Club. I've seen Cherry
Cherry
Orchard, because you
Orchard.
can't miss Cherry Orchard. Inner City Running Club. There was fantastic groups, and so many to name a couple from Swords. Like it was amazing, and it does take good events like that to keep people seeing is believing, and especially when you run through communities and they're like, what's a half marathon? There's kids there looking at this going, what the hell are all these people doing? And that's how it
Crazy.
starts. And that's why I think it's important to keep it in these areas in the city. You know, when you look at marathons and stuff, let people see what it is that's going on. And it's made Coolock Running Club again. I've seen so many t-shirts from Coolock. It was absolutely excellent. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. And the best part is where we finished. Once you came out around Connolly Station area, everyone kind of drifted in their own path. So it wasn't
Mm.
like, where are we going to sit down? Where are we going to eat? Where are we going to this? There was places. Now, I actually say some coffee shops probably missed a trick by not opening early.
Yeah.
Because there was a few places and the chairs were still on the table. I was like, oh, of all the days, you could have just paid double time to staff and you would have made a fortune. But they won't again, first year. They might not make that mistake next year. But we settled down for an hour, had good crack, sandwiches and had a laugh and a few post-mortems. And again, a shout out to Cormac and his pals in Insomnia who came and said, well, we walked past, they said hello, and they had a great run. So yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal to see the support. It's weird because you see people eyeing you up, and then and then they say hello, but it's great. It is so good, and they had a great run. In fairness, they had an absolutely fantastic run, the two guys there. So yeah, no, it's amazing. It leaves you with good feeling, and it does feel like a good marathon. It brought a good buzz to the area. So yeah, for me, it's a big one. Price wise, it's something that shocked a lot of people.
Mm.
I don't know what it means, but like when you have 14,000 people, obviously that's big revenue. I know you're closing roads, but running, you know, you have to keep it that little bit accessible. I don't know. I don't know what it goes into setting your price point, but I just know from listening, there was even people talking about it through the first 5K. Great race. Oh, expensive though. You know, like
Yeah.
there are fantastic half marathons around this country for half the price, you know, and they should be commended for giving people affordable racing. And I suppose to get that many people, but you are getting serious crowds in this one. You're running with serious crowds, and maybe you're paying for that privilege. But for me, it's just something that maybe they might consider. I don't know how much swing we have, or maybe they might like, well, Eric, we sold it out in
They
two
sold it
hours, so
out.
you can shut your mouth and fair.
It must be
Um,
the road closures because the same organisers did the Irish Life Dublin half in the Phoenix Park, and that's €45
yeah,
before
so
fees, so it's probably close to 50. So still
yeah.
€25 cheaper than what today was. But today is a great one for people to start of a new year to go, you know what, my goal is a half marathon to get in 16 weeks to build towards that if they've never done a half or stuff
100%.
before.
Yeah,
And obviously it was a fast enough course for people as well. 64, 65 minutes won it. Mick Fox came third, by the way. Shout out Mick Fox, who's been on the podcast before. That's phenomenal.
yeah, he ran really well and he's been running really well over it. If anyone is not following him on Instagram and you're looking to be inspired,
Mm.
watch him run 20 miles a day. It's amazing. His consistency, and he said it to me recently, he's just trying to keep injury free and keep training, and he's doing fantastic things and finishing third in a marathon that was highly contested.
Yeah.
There was some good athletes there today, and 64 minutes, like this isn't a joke. Like that's I can't even run a 10K in that at this stage. You know,
Uh,
like it's absolutely phenomenal.
I do have to say something though, because Dublin Marathon just gone in October was the first time I wore the Any Given Runday t-shirt, the Eric Lawless Any Given Runday t-shirt, and I ran a few t-shirts and stuff like that since. And then since then, you've only been you ran your first one then, the Barcelona one, your first Irish race wearing a t-shirt. You were in that race last week as well, just watching people, and the amount of people that come up to you go, "You're very big, aren't you?" Eric Lawless is fucking 6'3". Get over it.
6'4", 6'4". Don't be
6'3".
taking inches are important, Sean. Ask anyone.
That's what. Never
Um,
mind.
but yeah, I don't know why. I think because I've lived away and we sit in a podcast, so we're all the same height. But when people meet me, they're like, "Jesus Christ,
He's a big
you
lad.
look bigger than they do on TV."
And his head gets an extra 2 inches bigger when you say it to him. It's like, Jesus, you're tall. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know why, but the fascination of my 2 week visit home to Ireland has been my height. But I've been this size since I'm 21. I don't know what the hell's after going on. I don't think people realize it until they're standing beside me. I think that could be what it is, but it's just funny. And
you
it's
know, lifts
even
and the vapor flies to make yourself taller, no?
absolutely. So I'm 6'5.5" with the vapor flies. It's just mad. It happened twice today. Going, Jesus, yous are a lot bigger than you look on the telly. And you know, there was another comment like that, and Sean was like, "For fuck's sake."
Too right.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I suppose people hear our voices, they don't really know who we are. They see you a hell of a lot more than they see me, and Yeah, I'm like a big Any Given Runday lamppost going around when I have my hat and all on. So it definitely adds to the advertising per square inch. I'm getting more value for money out of these t-shirts. But it's yeah. But thanks for everyone for commenting on my height.
Yeah.
Sean has a complex. Yeah, no,
I
look,
can't
it
grow
is.
height in the gym. I can do all the chin-ups and pull-ups I want, but I can't grow height.
But yeah, thanks for all them. But it's no, brilliant. It was such a good day. Well done to the organizers. Number one, hopefully they look at some of these issues, not issues, no, tweaks, I would say, and this has potential to just get better. With a couple of tweaks and a couple of learning points, like you should. Feedback is so important, and this episode is feedback for anyone who wants to do it, and probably most people who did it will probably agree with everything we said, and if feedback is taken on board, your race gets better, and hopefully we may have a voice. I don't know, but it already might go swing it, lads. We don't care. But
Well,
but look, I hope people agree with us. But fantastic race, really really enjoyable, and good to see. You could tell the newbies. It was good to see so many people, and to touch back on your point, Sean, when you come to January and you're looking for something, this could be it. There are a couple of 10Ks along the way, like the Dunboyne 10K, and so many others around the country. The 10 mile, there are so many that you can dip your toe in something that's a little bit faster and good value, and you're supporting athletic clubs around the country and getting that race experience. And then you've something serious to aim for in terms of this half marathon. I think it's a good time of the year. It's the temperatures are nice. Could be colder, could be rainy, could be whatever. That's the risk you take. I suppose we live in Ireland, we live with it, but it's definitely a fantastic goal to have. And anyone who's thinking about it next year, or particularly those with finish line fever, we had a few of them in our car today, looking at smiles, looking at pain, looking at achievement, because when you look at people achieving something and you see it in their faces, like it is infectious. I always say, if you never want to run a marathon, don't stand at the finish line,
yeah.
because you will walk away from that going, I want to feel that. You don't want to feel the 16 weeks of training. You don't want to feel how it feels at 16K, 17K, 36K, 30, whatever the race is about. You don't see that. You only see that end finish. And I suppose whatever it is you're running for, or whatever drove you to do something like this, or next year, whatever is driving you, if you want to taste it, this is a really, really good goal. And I think a half marathon is something. It's not a
Yeah.
joke. It isn't a
No.
joke. I think people see Instagram and they're like, anyone can do a half marathon. And there was a few people pancaked today that found out a half marathon is no joke. And I hope they recover, and I hope they do well. Paramedics everywhere, actually, on bikes, on everything. I have to say that was excellent to see. But yeah, it's a huge achievement for those who took on their first today, and you can see it, you can tell, and they did a fantastic job, and well done to them. And let's hope next year there are more people looking for a half marathon challenge, and it's definitely one for the books.
It was class to see, like I said. And I hope the council and all that kind of cracks start embracing this stuff, because there's times where, like we talked for in a podcast, of trying to get the marathon out of the city and that kind of thing. And I just think it's really cool that, for a couple of hours in the morning, once, twice a year, something like this happens, gets people out, passing trade, everything else there. I can't personally see it anything but pluses, and I suppose everyone listening to the podcast that are involved in running would think the exact same thing. Before we do wrap this one up, though, you did touch on a couple of people that were chomping in the bit to get in the podcast, and there is a way for people to, is apply the right word to get in the podcast there?
Register your suggestions or interest, I would say. So yeah, this week is a big week for us. We are going to launch the Any Given Runday website,
Whoa.
anygivenrunday.com. It'll be launching this week, so do keep an eye out on our social media. It will have information like upcoming marathon trips. It will have information
Oh.
like the Wall of Fame. So all of those who've come onto the podcast are now going to be put onto the Wall of Fame, because we think they're pretty cool. If they're not putting that on their CVs, I'm going to slate them. But also, you can listen to all episodes. You can find out more about the podcast. If you are a club or an event or whatever it is you're looking to do, you can actually register with us events that you're going to run, and we can help advertise them through our socials, because we are everyone's friend and we want everyone to do as much running and get involved in running in Ireland as much as we can. So there's so much and so much more on the website. And most importantly, as Sean said, if you have a guest idea, most people message us on Instagram, which is fine, but we'll actually have a website where people can leave details and recommend some people. And we'll try our best to fit as many people on as we can and fit them in with our schedule as the year goes ahead.
Speaking of the Wall of Fame, shout out to everyone that's been tagging us on Instagram the last couple of weeks with the Air Class approved t-shirt. It's been pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's been excellent and running races all over the world. We'd won in Birmingham, down in Wicklow, we had a t-shirt. So, and the hats are starting to be seen everywhere. So, for those looking, we'll also have the shop that'll be online. So, for those who didn't come on the trip, there is also a little shop. So, if you like the gear, you can get on board, I suppose. So, yeah, it's something that we're trialing, and we'll see, and we'll have the merchandise. But it's exciting. We've come a long way from. A few listeners a week, my mom and the dog and Sean's mom, and it's
my man didn't listen.
All right, we only had two for a long time, but it's going to be good, and we hope people interact with it, and we hope we can promote sport and endurance in Ireland. And well done to all those. I believe Maurice Mullins was a race on. Marky Mark, who was a previous guest and was with us in Barcelona, did an excellent race. And so many others doing other races around. So a big shout out to them. Niamh Fitzpatrick as well took part in that one. So also a previous guest. So if you want to go onto them dirty trails, do have a look back at previous episodes, because a lot of people will be tuning into this for the first time. So it's important, and the website will give you access and insight into all these people and why they are worthy of our Wall of Fame.
And to wrap up the podcast, Eric, it's the end of your little Irish vacation, but you're back again in 10 weeks' time. The training begins, sir.
Yeah, my mom didn't know, Sean, so you might have to edit this one out. But it's, I'm back. Lorcan Fisher challenged me to a 10K race. So
you willing to put this out in the podcast now?
Oh, we're going for it.
We're going all in on it, because
Dunshaughlin 10K.
You're 6'4" now, because people will call you out on this in 10 weeks' time. You ain't got the training in Mozambique.
Lorcan Fisher, if you're listening, I'm calling you out, bud.
So what's going on?
I'll see you there at the start line. 10 weeks. The Dunshaughlin 10K. I just need to get fast, and this is something that's just going to keep my brain ticking over as I go back onto the treadmills. So yeah, my last day in Ireland, we ship back out tomorrow, but it's been full of cream cakes and Guinness and sausages. I've had an absolute great time, but I'm slowly putting. I need to do the half marathon just to maintain my weight, so it's going to be a good time to get out of here. But yeah, it's been fun, and it's nice to have something to come back to. I'm not just flying home to run 10K in Dunshaughlin. Like, you know, when you fill out what's your carbon footprint to get to this race. No, that's I have a few actual things to do.
The Clonee 10K the following week, is it?
Yeah, that's the one I'm flying home for.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's absolutely brilliant. So it's given me something to work on my speed. I might get a little bit of help. We're still figuring out those little details, but you'll hear more about that in the next intro to the next podcast, and we'll see how it goes. But Lorcan, if you're listening, you better start running.
With that said, congrats again to everyone listening to the podcast that did the Dublin Half Marathon over the weekend. And that is it for this week's episode of the Any Given Runday podcast. And myself and Eric, take care.